and I'm super excited to have Linda with us today. So today's webinar is Mastering Your Finances, Grow Your Business, and Control Your Future. That actually is like Linda's tagline, Linda Brown, who's with us, and I think it's just perfect for today's topic. So it totally makes sense to me. If you haven't mastered your finance, you're not going to grow your business, and then you're not going to have control over your future. You need to have all those things in alignment. And even though we're a marketing company, like I'm a huge believer in like all parts of your business have to be working. Sales, marketing, operations, finances, everything needs to be working in order to have a successful business. If there's certain parts lagging, like your marketing, your finances, sales, operations, you're not going to be able to move forward. So it's like so important. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yay, I'm so excited. So just some housekeeping here is that if you do have any questions during the presentation, type them into the chat. We do have Taylor with us today, our amazing do everything person. I never know what to call her because she does so many things. She is going to be monitoring the chat, making sure that you guys are all taken care of, and then we will have a Q&A at the end of the presentation where we will answer any questions you have. But definitely, you know, as you think of them, put them in the chat, and we will be looking at that too. So we might answer them even before the Q&A. If it's your first time here and you're wanting to know a little bit about us, we are Home Designer Marketing. So there's me on the right, there's Ashley on the left. Ashley's our operations manager. She and our team are totally amazing. I can say that because I totally believe that. We help home design professionals transform their brands, attract dream clients, sell projects for more, stay current online, and get their time back with automated systems. So we specialize in brand strategy, logo, website, copywriting, social media, automated processes. People usually come to us because of our branding, website type of work. They always stay with us because of our processes. We are super process driven. It's so important, like I said, to have all those things together. Just to give you a little taste of our work, here's an example of a brand transformation. Here is one of our clients, Holly Gallagher, and we didn't design the logo here, but we did a color update because the color wasn't matching the style of her work, right? I can't tell you how many designers I talk to and they're like, well, I like this color, but then they're not using it in their designs. So, you know, we want it to reflect the type of work, your overall brand of work that you present. So here was her website before, and here was the transformation afterwards. So the whole brand is showing off, you know, her work. We do have two different types of packages. One is a brand transformation, and now we're also offering what we call a brand starter. So if you're a much smaller business, you don't have as much to invest in your marketing, still book a consultation with me because we are now offering some smaller packages that might be a much better fit for you. All right, and I'm so excited to have Linda here from Spire Business, and she's going to talk a little bit about what she does. She is so amazing. I'm super excited to have her here.
Thank you. So you want me to kind of go through this a little bit, what I do? Okay.
Yes.
So I am a trained business strategist that has a finance background in corporate America. I'm also a law of attraction coach. And what we help our clients do is uncover what's really happening with your money so that you can create simple systems to manage your resources, build the confidence you need to run your business, and be able to go out and sell and operate your business without any leaks happening. So we don't want your business to control you. We want you to be able to control your business. Basically, be proactive versus reactive.
Yes, I love that. It's so important to be proactive versus reactive in every way of your life. But definitely like your finances. It's just so important. So let's talk about today's agenda. Mastering your finances, grow your business, and control your future. So I like to always put it into, I always think of businesses as 4 buckets, like I talked about: sales, marketing, operations, finances. So we're going to be talking about all those things. We're going to be talking about systems, processes, automations, like for each of those different parts of your business. Then we're going to be discussing profit first, your finances, hiring and trusting your team. So many different parts. As you know, as a business owner, there's a lot of different parts to having a successful business, but there is like a roadmap, a plan, a way to, be more effective and do it the right way. So first, we're going to dive into sales, and we're going to talk about for sales systems, processes, and automation. So I'm going to let Linda talk about that a little bit. I'm super excited to hear what she has to say.
Well, I'll say that part of it, much more than I do, because where we start is really your bones. So for us, your sales is all about what is covering the bones. It's going to be, does your brand represent you? Does somebody make you feel safe and comfortable and wanting to share and talk with you? And, authentic is always good. Fake is always false. Nobody's going to trust somebody that doesn't look correct. But the problem comes out if your systems and processes, once they come in the door, are not efficient and people fall through the cracks, you're going to get a bad reputation no matter how good you look. You might be able to sell them, but can you maintain them? And the best way to do that is to try and do hands off as much as possible by getting system processes and automation in place. So I know that I actually have a client, and her lead magnet comes into her email, in which she then has to go through and attach her little brochure to and respond to that person. Mm-hmm. So it's so much easier if you get a system. It could be, I believe House does it now, MailChimp. Please go on, Deborah. This is your ball of wax. It is so many things out there that you can do to make sure that you're doing a really good front facing, so that when people come in your door, they are immediately dealt with happiness and joy because they're getting things on a timely basis.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the sales all starts with the pretty picture on the outside, but they're going to stay with you because of the pretty picture on the inside.
Yeah, I think that, part of what I'm hearing you talk about is like also the customer experience. So I always think of, there's several books that I've read on like making it easy for somebody to buy from you, like making it so having systems in place, and everybody here needs to work and have like, they're running their businesses on a lean, like they're running a lean business. So you need to have those systems and processes set up. So some of the sales systems that I always recommend is, one, having like a company playbook. So a professionally brand playbook that you can scroll through as you're like doing an online Zoom presentation, or you're meeting somebody in person that you can bring up on your laptop or on your iPad. Like have a way that, walks through what you offer, your processes, have kind of a sales deck. And then also, like for sales, have like online invoicing and online proposals. And the proposals could be, should be branded, should also match your brand. Think about, like, somebody's not going to pay you as much or trust you as much if they think you're doing this as a hobby versus if you're looking the part, in every part of your business and you're looking like you're a professional company. Like, think about it, that you want to look like a professional company. So, have a professional sales deck, have a professional proposal, have like a good system and process set up. So when somebody books an appointment with you, they get reminders like for the appointments and stuff like that, that are professional and branded.
And to that end, the other thing to consider is, what do you give for free versus what do you give for a charge? So a lot of my clients, when I first meet them, they're not charging for that in-home review.
Yes.
And so in my opinion, this is what I want, can you help me, should be your free discovery call. Once you go out to that location, you're starting to have your expertise work for you. So that is definitely something that I will always recommend that gets charged. That's really going to kick your tire kickers from your people who are serious about your business. And if you act serious about your business, they're going to act serious about your business. So charge for those sales calls when you're going to the home and looking at the home and taking measurements. Now, depending upon the job, you may or may not want to include some of that cost into the job. Because if you're measuring on that sales call, you don't really have to go back out to do that measuring again. So you can transfer some of that cost. I'll give you a 50% of your initial consultation fee towards your job. But if you don't want to ever give 100% of that sales call to the job once you get the job, because then you've just said, well, my sales calls I wasn't worth anything. I didn't do anything on that sales call. So you'll never want that sales call to be completely charged to the job.
Yeah, that definitely, like, that's such a good point. And something also I want to, like, I've heard over and over that if somebody has bought from you before, they're more likely to buy from you again. So selling something that's like a smaller price point so they can purchase from you will help them actually move to that next step of buying something for more from you. So I think that is so important. All right, so let's talk about like profit first and your finances and sales.
So this is my fun one.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear this.
So what I have found working with interior designers over the past 9-10 years is that oftentimes we have a gut feeling about what we want to sell something for, especially when it comes to our design services. Furniture, decor, products, they're all a little bit easier because we've set up a plan. We're either selling them at cost, we sell them at cost plus, we're buying at retail minus. There's some type of formula that you're doing for the hard goods. When it comes to the mental and our skills, we tend not to know how to charge for that. So the best way that I can always explain to my customers initially is, what is your value per hour? And it comes down to two things. If somebody offered you a job for $200, would you want to do it? If somebody offered you that same job for $20, would you do it? Do you need $2,000 to do it? And so just think about your day being filled up with these tasks. Would you want to be filled up with these $20 tasks that you would be willing to do? Or do you want to be you're filling your day with the $2,000 tasks? So that's something that is going to be different by region, as well as what you are offering your clients. In addition to your time, do you have people working underneath you? You might have an assistant who doesn't touch the job, but she's keeping everything else in play for you so that your time can be spent on that job. So we need to include some money for your assistant in the pricing. We need to do your rent, your utilities, your computer systems, your education, because everybody here needs to do education so that we can keep up. So if some of these costs aren't being allocated to each and every job, then Profit First is going to say, we don't have enough money at the end of the day to actually be able to do these things that we need and hire these people that we need to hire.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And I always think of it as like, sometimes people think that charging more to their clients is like, they might feel bad. They might feel like they're taking advantage of them. But think about it this way. If you're charging more so you can invest back into your business to setting up this system, the systems and processes and everything, then in improving your services and what you deliver, it's a huge benefit for the client. And then in addition to that, you'll be around, like you're not going to go out of business. You'll be sustainable. So like keeping your business strong, sustainable, offering your clients as much value as possible takes, making sure that you're pricing things right, making sure, like you said, that you're, charging for those consultations, because if you're not charging, you're missing out on like some billable time to make some money in order to grow your business, right?
That's exactly it. So think about it. I'm going to have two analogies here. Hopefully that won't get us lost. The first is, if you have something wrong with your car and there is a $15 mechanic, $15 an hour mechanic down the street, or an $85 mechanic down the street, and you have a Mercedes, which mechanic are you likely to go to? Right? I know I would be going to the $85 per hour mechanic because they have to have more knowledge and skill than the $15.
Absolutely. Mechanic. Absolutely.
So people expect to pay for what they're getting back in return. So if you're pricing yourself too cheaply, too inexpensively, not enough, however you want to word this, how much trust are people going to have in you?
Yep. It's all about the perceived value.
Exactly.
Of how much they perceive that, and that, perceived value is like that's so important in so many ways. I can definitely see that. So let's that was so good. Let's talk about marketing, and put in chat if you have any questions about sales and what we just talked about, or if something that we talked about you could really identify with or you want to share. Put it in chat and then we'll come back to it.
Can I have one more thing on the sales?
Yes, absolutely.
Don't be afraid to get the money up front. I cannot sit in my dentist seat without paying for the services that I'm getting that day before I even sit down. So we should not be afraid to request money, deposit in full, whatever it is, up front. Don't always wait to the end.
Oh, absolutely. Like, you just can't wait till the end to get paid. Like, you need to get paid, so you can be sustainable.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you can't take the risk of losing out either. You're not charging enough to take that risk.
And don't let somebody tell you just because in your area it's not done that way. The way you operate this is something that one of my business coaches about 5 years ago told me. Every conversation that you have is the way my firm operates is, and then you state your rules.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not about how other people are running their business. It's how you are choosing to run your business.
Exactly. Well,
And
now this is my favorite conversation, marketing, specifically because this is the one that I know nothing about except for the fact that you need to know it.
yeah, yeah,
So when I first started business and I hired a marketing company, I said, this is what I do. I don't know how to do marketing. Can you take care of it for me?
mhm,
Lo and behold, I did not recognize what I got back for a website. I'm like, oh, I didn't know I was a CPA. Oh, that's right. I'm not a CPA. I'm an accountant. I'm a financial coach. I'm a financial advisor. I'm systems. I'm not a CPA. Why did they put that there? Because I trusted them to know their job and to know what I did. So this, among everything else, we need to basically have our fingers in enough so that we trust the person that's doing it for us. Thank you, Deborah, for being that person that we can definitely
yeah,
trust.
thank you.
We tell our stories to Deborah and her team, and Deborah and her team is supposed to reflect back at you and enhance what you've said and done. So
Yeah,
they're
thank
the
you.
ones that have the creative genius to pull it all together. They cannot go out and search the internet, search the website, and then say, here, this is who you are. So any marketing company that's going to do that is not the person you want.
Yeah,
Now, how much does it cost? Once again, don't go on to Fiverr or Upwork and say, I can get this for $15. I can get this for $20. It's also going to be the case of that's your value to it. That's what it's going to come across in the end. You want to have an investment in your marketing. You want to have an investment in your look and your brand, because that is your first impression. So
yeah,
how do you afford that? And I'm going to be quite honest with you. You might need to start really small. You know, there's people out there, and I'm one of them. I did not have a website for the first 15 years of my business. I had a multi-six-figure business coming in through word of mouth. So you don't always need the full $6,000, $10,000, $12,000, $40,000 website when you're just starting out. Start with what you can afford, high quality. And then as you increase your business and increase your sales, start investing more and more into that, because you need to look more professional. You need to look bigger. You need to be the creme de la creme of your space when you're at that size.
yeah, that's so good. And I always think of like marketing, definitely, like if you're a smaller business and you're just trying to get out there and look professional, I always recommend you're better off having a professionally branded website, logo, good content, and have like a smaller website. You know, do a 2-page website instead of a 7-page website. Like it's better to have a smaller website that is still telling the right story and looking, you know, positioning you, having the professional look, so you don't look like your business, you know, like it's a hobby. I do like the typical investment that you should be thinking about for your marketing is about 7% of your revenue. So if you're thinking about like, I don't know how much to spend. So think about 7% of your revenue, putting that aside every year for marketing. Now, here's a couple of variables. If you're thinking, you know, if you're thinking that you really want to grow, let's say your goals are really aggressive and you want to double your revenue in the next year, you might need to double that percentage. Like invest up front in order to get that growth going that next year. If you're like happy with where you're at and your goals are, you know, I'm just happy, I want to stay online, I want to, you know, keep offering my clients value, stay in front of people, look professional, work on my processes and systems, then maybe maybe you stay at the 7%. But I know, like, if I'm in a growth, even for my own business, if I'm like in the growth mindset, like this last couple of years, we've been really growing in this space, then I'm going to invest more in marketing and having more conversations and setting up systems and processes.
And the good thing is that it doesn't have to be oh my goodness, I need to find that money. Let's say this year, I know that, I am scaling up my business. I can meet with Debra and her team this year and say, okay, this is what I want. How much is it going to cost? You can start putting that money aside today for something that you're planning next year.
Yeah.
Or you can come with her and say, Debra, I really want this. I know I can't afford it to next year. Can you give me an estimate of how much it's going to cost me next year? Understanding that there's going to be market fluctuation and changes, but then you have a good idea going forward. You're not going to just,
absolutely.
You don't want to have the expense go out and then they'll say, okay, now I have to find. That gets much harder and more stressful. And we're trying to release stress off of us, not add stress to it.
Yeah. And think about that. It doesn't always have to be like a huge investment all at one time. A lot of agencies offer like payment plans. Like we do offer like 3-6-month payment plans where you can spread those payments out. Or think about if you want to invest, you could, like Linda said, you can start putting away, a certain amount every month to build that amount up. I also wanted to go back to one of the things that Linda said at the beginning about making sure that you have a professional website. I just wanted to share with you the key to making sure that your website and online presence is like going to tell your story and represent you. The key really is to make sure that they're doing strategy. They have a strategy process, and you're talking about who your ideal client is and developing an overall like messaging, design, like everything should be representing like you and who you are and the type of work that you're doing. But that strategy piece, because what there is designers who came from maybe a print design background. Then there's copywriters, then there's programmers, and then there's like the strategy piece is the one that ties everything together. Because what we find is a lot of programmers are not copywriters, they're not designers. So if you just go to somebody who's a programmer, you're not going to really get your story told properly. Does that make sense?
So what I hear you saying, if I'm correct, is be careful of those one-person shops, because it's very hard for the one person to be copywriter, photo editor, and systems person.
Absolutely. I totally believe that. And for 25 years plus, I ran my own business. I didn't have anybody on our team. I actually think it is completely impossible for one person to deliver everything well. You need a team of A players. There's just too much. Marketing is more complex than it used to be. It used to be a lot simpler, but it is a lot more complex.
And to add to that, on the other end, the financial end, you don't want to have your bookkeeper do your tax return, and you don't want your CPA to be your bookkeeper. There's over 75,000 pages of tax law.
Wow.
The CPAs are spending their time on tax law, how to save you money and not get you into trouble. The bookkeepers are how do you put the money away and categorize it so that the CPAs can do their jobs. So they really are two very separate and distinct avenues. So as we're talking, your programmer is not going to be your copywriter. There's a difference in the finance aspect as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that made me really think about like when you were talking earlier about how much you should charge hourly and stuff, think about like writing out all your expenses of like, you know, what things do you need to do to move the needle for sales? What things do you need to do to help you with marketing or, you know, operations or finances, like hiring a bookkeeper, hiring a CPA, like write out all those expenses, add it up, figure out like, what is my overhead? Really think about how much money you need to be making a month. Split that into 12 and figure out, okay, what is my overhead? Think of how much you're paying yourself as your overhead, and then figure out, okay, how many hours do I have to work a month? And then figure out, you know, okay, that means my hourly rate needs to be at this amount. Is that what you would recommend, Linda, or do you have a different way?
That is exactly it, which now we're on Profit First in Finance. So I feel like I can bring this up now. So the way Profit First works, and if everybody's read the book or listened to Mike speak, he is spectacular. Profit First is not a new system. It actually dates back to the 1500s when people first started dividing up the money that came into the kingdoms. But what is new is Mike actually went through and did research of thousands of companies of all different sizes and says, okay, what approximate amount of money are you spending in these different areas? So that as a business owner, we have a starting point. Now, interestingly enough, everybody kind of reads the book and says, oh, I need 50% here and 15% there and 5% there. That's not actually true because each industry is different and how you get paid as an owner is different, because one of the bank accounts in the Profit First system is that owner pay account. If you are a owner pay that gets a W-2 salary, you're moving money in that account just to move it right back out 2 days later. Doesn't make sense. So the Profit First system is there as a guideline and as a starting point. And the whole purpose is to make sure that the most important asset of any business gets money, and that important asset is the owner, because the business would not be in place if the owner was not willing to take that risk to do it. So that is the profit portion. It's the risk of owning the business. You then have an owner pay portion, which is, are you the operator of your business? Are you working in it? Now, I have some clients literally do not work in their business anything more than being the cruise director, saying, oh, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. Go here, do that. And they spend 5 minutes handing out assignments and then they walk away for the day. Those are not owner operators. So they don't actually get the owner pay. The owner pay is to actually work in the business. So just because you own a business doesn't mean you get owner pay. We say for taxes, the worst thing you want to do is come to tax time and call me at 10:49 p.m. on April 14th and say, oh my God, I owe $24,000 to the government and it's due tomorrow. What do I do? Okay, well, you know what? We're prepared for that. You go to this account and you take it out. We don't want my husband to get any angrier than he gets when my clients call me that late at night. There should be no bookkeeping or accounting emergencies, so you plan for it. The good news is you made money. That's part of the cost of doing for business. So if you want to make $200 an hour, you have to say, okay, well, if I'm making $200 an hour, what is my income tax going to be on that? What is my self-employment tax going to be on that? So you're not really making $200 an hour. You're making $235, $240, depending upon your income tax bracket. If you want to make $200 and you haven't included your taxes on that, and you haven't included your operating expenses on that, and you haven't included your systems and your team, you might be down at $2 an hour. So it's really important to know what is going into your expenses so that you know what to charge, and then to allocate the money out in buckets for when it's needed.
That is so important. And this is one of the reasons why, like, I had you on today is, I don't even know if I shared this, but Profit First, like when we had been on Profit First for several years, before COVID hit. When COVID hit, like, I am so thankful for Profit First, because we were in super good shape, because we had money in all our different accounts that we had been saving for several years, and it had been building up. So we were in a really good position. If COVID had hit before we were on Profit First, it would have been a really different story, right?
Mhm.
So Profit First really set us up for that emergency. And like, I actually run the business using Profit First, and I run my husband and I's personal finances on Profit First too. Like, I love it so much. It is just a game changer. And yeah, I never worry about, do I have enough money to pay my taxes anymore? Or do I have enough money for payroll? Or do I have enough money for, operations, or all the different things? Because I can just look at my account in a moment and know, yep, I have money there. It's all saved because I've been putting in those percentages every month.
So to add to that, it's not like my grandparents. They had the money in the cookie jar for their food. If the money wasn't in that cookie jar, they figured out a way to buy food that week without buying steak or anything expensive. So you make do with what's there, and it really makes you begin to question what is important in my business and what is not.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, now.
And I'll just add this. I had a client that started it in November before COVID hit. And when she went out on COVID 4 months later, they had enough money to stay in place in 6 months. She started with $2,000 in the bank. So it's not something that necessarily takes a long time to build up either.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about operations here.
Hey, Deborah, quick question. There is a quick question about an accounting software before moving on.
Oh, yes. Thank you. What would you recommend, Linda? I know my favorite, but it might not be the same as yours.
I'm going to say there is no one answer. Okay, depends on what you want to do and who you are and what you're using for other softwares. So some softwares only integrate with QuickBooks for a sales software. So if your point of sales only integrates with QuickBooks, you obviously want to go with QuickBooks. If you happen to be one of those people that writes their proposals out and doesn't really have anything for a operating system, which we're getting to now, you might want to do FreshBooks, because FreshBooks allows you to actually create a contract that is signed and invoicing and receive payments and do expenses all within FreshBooks. There's Xero. I am actually, because of some things that are happening with QuickBooks, I'm starting to refer people out of QuickBooks and over to Xero because of cost. The same product from Xero to QuickBooks is less than half in Xero. So if there's cost is an issue, the basic version that most people use in QuickBooks is now about $85 a month. The same thing in Xero is about $30 a month. So cost comes into play, your systems come into play. I recommend that you actually talk to somebody to help you integrate all of that.
Yeah, that is really good. A really good point. Make sure that it integrates with everything. I'm a huge fan of making sure things integrate. We use Xero, and we use a proposal software with Proposal 5. But like, I definitely wish there was like one that would even make it simpler, but I do have them integrated. So our Proposal 5 software is integrated with Xero. So at least a person's like information and stuff like that, it integrates.
So if people are using House, they have no choice. The only integration, if they want it to integrate, is QuickBooks at this point in time.
Got it. Got it. And let's hop into operations, because I know we're, only have like 15 minutes left. So hiring and trusting your team. Oh my gosh, this is really good.
So we go into any relationship, whether it's dating our spouses and significant others or our team, with hopefully trust. Because if you go into anything without trust, it's going to fall apart from the beginning. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there's no oversight. Okay, you have to oversee what's happening. I can tell you horror stories about people who have trusted their bookkeepers or trusted the CPAs only to go back and have to redo things. Now, is it because they were untrustworthy? Not normally. Usually the case is we didn't actually state our expectations, and then we didn't follow through and make sure that our expectations were being met. So part of hiring is getting somebody competent. Plan to spend more. Once again, the better they are, the more expensive they are, usually the higher quality they are. So if you're looking for a bookkeeper that's saying, okay, well, I'll charge you $20 an hour, they might take 4 times or 5 times as long as that bookkeeper that's $45 or $50 an hour who's used to it. So less expensive is not always good. Trust your team, but oversee what they're doing. Once again, everything comes back to you as the business owner. So oversight is always good.
Yeah, I think that's like so important. I also think that setting up your team for success, like our operations manager, Ashley, if anybody's met her, she is amazing at systems and processes. Like if I ever said to her, hey, we need to hire somebody, she would be like, we're not hiring anybody until we set up the systems and the processes. Like if we have the systems and processes set up in place, then we could bring somebody on. But and the reason why, unless it's not your expertise, like, right, if you're hiring somebody who's a CPA, you're not going to set up the processes and stuff for them.
Well, you actually are, because you need to know what you're expecting of them. Right?
Yeah,
So you're going to say,
yes.
Are you going to be doing my quarterly sales tax? Are you going to be
Yes.
doing my estimating for my quarterly income taxes? Are you just doing my tax return? You need to know what you need from anybody you're hiring. So there
Yes.
is a set of systems and processes that will go into that.
Yeah, especially at like a high level. You won't be doing like the detailed, like how you pay sales taxes, but you might have some things about like how you want them to do it. Absolutely. And then I know our mentor would always tell us, because I used to have the philosophy that I would hire people and, you know, that the cost was less. And I know, Linda, you touched on this, like, no, we want somebody to be up to speed in a couple of weeks. Like we want to hire people that are really good, that can do the work quickly and do a really great job, and get them, you know, on board as fast as possible. So, you know, so it doesn't take like a couple of years to train somebody.
So hiring usually means that you don't want somebody outside of the field, unfamiliar with the systems, because then you're teaching 2 different aspects to their job.
Good point. Really, really good point.
So if
And
they know,
I know I've done it both ways. Like when I hired Ashley over 8 years ago now, I hired her right out of school. I spent thousands of hours training her, honestly. Like she is totally amazing. She is like key part to our team. Like I couldn't work without her. But I did spend, like if we hired somebody now, we just don't have the bandwidth, or we're moving too fast. You know, we don't have the time to hire somebody who isn't experienced.
so you either need them to know the system, so that they just need to learn how you use the system, or they need to know your processes or close enough to your processes that they're only learning the systems.
Yes. And I think it's too a mindset thing of like, hey, you think you're paying somebody less, but they're actually not as productive. And then you're also spending a lot more time with them, which cost. So
Right.
is it really less expensive or is it not? Right? It's a mindset thing of like, if you get them in and they're productive and they're making money for you, like right away, like even though they cost more, they're making more, right? So it's actually, you know, increased revenue for your business. So I think it's a big mindset thing.
I'm sorry, my baby here is just really waking up. So there's two other things about hiring that I like to do with people that I work with. One is think about having a training or short-term rate. So if somebody's going to be making 36 or 50,000 or $70,000 a year with you, you might not want them to do that during the training period. You might want to say during the training periods, because it's so much of my time and your time learning the system instead of being productive, we're going to start you here. As soon as you're through that 30, 60, or 90 days, then you'll bounce up to your full-time rate, because it might not work out and you are not being able to be productive because you're being educating.
Yes.
So that's number one thing that I always recommend. And the number two thing is, how do we know we can afford it? The best thing, profit first wise, if I can almost jump screens on you a little bit,
Oh, yeah.
is to make sure that before you hire anybody, you put their monthly salary away for 3 months before you even think about hiring them. Therefore, you have a little
so
kitty
good
of money in case times are a little bit tough, but you also know that you can afford them. The worst thing to do is hire somebody only to say, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to pay them. Now I can't get paid.
Gosh,
and then there's
that is so good. That's
third
such a good tip.
Here's my third one on hiring, is that you hire when you're 75% full. Most people wait till they're overwhelmed, 100%, 120% full. And they're like, oh my goodness, I can't do all of this. I need to hire. Well, then you don't have the time to actually train them. And you're resentful or short-tempered, not because you want to be, but how do you add another thing to your plate? So I always recommend that once you hit the 75% capacity, you bring on that next person.
Yeah, that's like so good. And I know I want to make sure we have enough time here for some Q&As, but do you have any quick tips on operations, systems, processes, automations for everybody?
We've already actually touched on that. Before you hire anybody, you know what they're going to be doing. You have the system set up. I can actually, and did have my 14-year-old children, when they were 14, they got a notebook and they said, go do bookkeeping. And they could do it because everything was listed out simply and in steps. My 14-year-old daughter did bookkeeping for me for 3 years. She was the best bookkeeper I'd ever had. So make sure you know what they're going to be doing and empower them by letting them know what they're going to be doing before you assign them tasks.
Yes. So good. And I'm going to jump into financing here. And Dina wrote that she's been struggling with the idea of charging like a consulting fee. What and when is the best way to invoice prospective clients, a consultation fee, and expect the payments prior or at the time of the visit? So she has a bunch of questions in there, Linda.
So what I usually recommend, especially for a consultation visit, is it's paid at the time of booking. And I have a lot of people who have it automated into their system. If you're using Acuity, if you're using House, if you're using, I don't know, there's so many Calendarlies out there that you can actually say, here's a booking. Do you want this appointment? This is how much it costs. And before it even comes to you, you have time on your calendar. They've booked the appointment. They paid for the appointment. Here's the time you're going out. So it kind of takes the money out of it. The most important thing I think with money is the way that I operate is I get a fee for my consultation. And once that fee is paid, we'll book the time.
Got it. Yes, I think it is important. I mean, I'm thinking that make it easy for them to pay. Definitely have them pay before they book the appointment. And then, use something that's trustworthy for them to pay online. I think that's a big one too, because, you know, they're putting their credit card in online. You want to make sure that, you know, your online presence looks professional, so they trust that, they trust the system that you're using to pay.
And it all depends upon the system you're using. I have a client that gets designer for a day, $1,500 fees, and she's never even met the people. So, you know, it's not that I have to charge a little bit of money. Don't ever feel that way. It just has to be simple and easy and work with the systems that you have set up.
Yeah, definitely. And think about this too, Dina, that I always tell people that they should have a qualification call over the phone. So set up your online calendar. So it's like 15 minutes and give them an option of maybe only a couple of times a week, right? So, because I know all of you are busy and you might not be in an office like 24/7, right? So make it easy for them to book a 15-minute qualification call. You might on your website call it a consultation, but really it's a qualification call. Like, are they a good fit for you? Do they have the right type of project? Are they in the right location? Do they want, you know, can they make the investment? Like, you can kind of qualify for them by like, what are they looking for? Are they looking for a total remodel, custom furniture? Are they looking for somebody to just, you know, go shopping for them? Like, what are they looking for? A color consultation? Like, what are they looking for that could help kind of qualify? But I think that is super important. And then they can also, you can send them a link to your online calendar to book a paid consultation, or you can have it on your website. There's different ways. We set up clients all the time with ways to do that.
And if your heebie-jeebies come up, you don't have to take it. You can say, I'm sorry, I'm booked out for 6 months. Do not let your heebie-jeebies override your willingness to take a client.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we've gone through so much information here, and I'm gonna, if you guys are interested, any of you, in learning how to, you know, have a brand transformation, then feel free to book a free consult with me. I'll put it in chat. I'll put our information in here, and then or connect with us online. We do have those new smaller packages for smaller businesses if you're interested in those. And then I'm going to also, here's Linda's information, and I just put her info in there. So if you want to book a time with her, then feel free to use that this address right here. But we've really enjoyed having everybody here. I would love like any questions you have, any feedback, you know, are you using Profit First? You know, what are you struggling with, or what did you learn? Love to hear from you guys. Feel free to type in chat or even come off mute if you feel like it.
So if I'm going to put on a minute here, if I can, when we're waiting for a question to come in. The easiest thing for you as a business owner to do, honestly, is to oversee your finances. If you're giving your bookkeeping to an outside vendor who has no idea what your business is about or who you're working with, sometimes it's easier for you to have that done internally. And most of my clients can do their own bookkeeping in 5 minutes a day. It's not hard if you're taught a process. The problem comes down that you as an interior designer are being said, hey, go do your bookkeeping, but you've never been taught. So bookkeeping can be very easy if you know what you're doing, and somebody sets up the system and the process for you. And then you just
Yeah.
have to follow it.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that sometimes too, it can be a team effort where you're doing a little part.
Mhm.
Like for me, like, every Wednesday, like yesterday, I transferred, the money that was in the income account into the different accounts based on my percentages. So I do that part, but then, I have a bookkeeper who's like reconciling stuff. Really think about, I know I've talked about this in other webinars. What is your superpower? What are you really, really good at? And if you spent most of your time in that space of your superpower, what would your business look like? Like, I bet it's not spending time doing your bookkeeping or even your marketing or building your website. Like you're designers, if you're out there designing, what's that going to look like for your business and your customers and you personally?
And the most important thing is tracking the expenses per customer for designers, because you're never going to know if you made money versus not made money if we don't know which, and yes, I am, which invoices for your vendor bills are going to which client receivables. So it's really important that you just don't hand things over to a bookkeeper and say, deal with it, because they're not going to know the projects you're working on. Am I familiar with wave.com for online invoicing? Yes, I am. Wave works for really small clients. I would recommend it, especially if they want to do their own bookkeeping. It's got some major limitations on getting reports and doing reconciliations for a bookkeeper or an accountant. So it depends on where you are in life to which, like I said, I think I know of 17 different online bookkeeping softwares. Yes, I will always recommend going online because that way you can get help from somebody else. But it then depends upon your business to which level of the bookkeeping softwares we want you to go with. I would also always recommend that your invoices, your receipts, your insurance policies be in some type of cloud-based system, whether it's Google Drive, Dropbox, Receipt Bank, Hubdock, something online. God forbid there's enough natural disasters going on in this world right now. We don't want you to lose everything and scramble to recreate it in the slight little minuscule chance that you get an audit, which is only verifying that the payments you've made are actually true payments. Audits are no big deal.
Yeah, wow. That was such a good tip to put those documents in a cloud-based online system. I know, we're in Northern California. There's been a lot of fires. You just need to protect yourself.
Yeah, the one and done, right? We want to get that invoice vendor bill in, put it into your cloud filing system. You don't ever have to worry about it again.
Yeah. What is your favorite software? I know we use Hubdock. What is your favorite?
I love Hubdock. Truly love Hubdock. It works with most accounting softwares, and it's not just for vendor bills. My clients' year-end tax returns go in there, their insurance policies go in there. Anything they need goes in there, and it automatically starts to create their filing cabinets. And then you can actually download that, so you can always put it on a thumb drive and put it in a safety deposit box. So it's not like, I have a lot of clients who say, well, I just put it directly into QuickBooks. I take my receipts into QuickBooks. Well, if you get rid of QuickBooks, you've now gotten rid of all your receipts. So now you are tied to pay for QuickBooks, even if it's not the best system for you, because they have your receipts.
Such a good point. Thank you so much, Linda. This has been so nice having you here. Thank you, everybody, for attending. It's been a great conversation, and I really enjoyed it. So have a great day and read the book if you haven't yet. Profit First is just really amazing. I just love it. So,
Thank you so much, Deborah. It's been fabulous being here with you today.
Yeah, it's been so much fun. Okay, thank you, everybody. Bye. Have a great day.